So this is the healing arts. This is the healing arts. So I'm really happy that you're here, that you joined with me in this improvisation moment together, in this healing arts moment, like using art as a healing modality, in fact, or seeing how art is part of your transformational life that you're living. And before I get in too much jargon, I want to keep it really simple in that sense, is speaking from my own experience, speaking from that which touches me. So to start with this, and this is like an introduction into my bio, if you want, is when I started to do, when I went to art school, like that some years ago, I went to art school, and after 2 years, something happened to me, and that was this. So I started to make art. I had a beautiful studio, and in an old monastery. But the thing that happened was that I became, say, open and receptive, and something really happens when you're busy making art. So it's like you become open and receptive in a totally different way than you're used to as a human being, because then it's always like you have your little image that you work with, or who knows what, how you deal with yourself. But for me, it was a very internal process in which like a lot of healing occurred for me. Like I opened up more and more and went through barriers of fear. And these barriers of fear, some of them were really intense. I actually became aware that every step that I took, I was fearful, in fact. Like everything that I knew was based on fear. And so when I was open enough, in fact, or courageous enough to step into this fear, something really changed in me. And actually that didn't stimulate the making of art for me at that point, because I was completely, scrambled in a certain sense. Like I really didn't know how to function anymore. That's more like it. I knew something really profound happened, but I didn't know how to deal with it. Like I could not really function anymore as the way that I was used to myself. So then I quit art school, and I started to discover more and more about beauty, in fact, because my eyes were really more and more opened to see that. So and this is a continuing journey which I'm on, in fact, but seeing that I didn't have to choose to make art again. No, it was all continuously. It was clear how that was part of me. Like I was asked to do workshops, or I did a lot of team building workshops for businesses and all this, and the only thing that that was natural to me was thinking that way as an artist, like being open to an idea that's just given in the moment, and working with that, and letting the material speak, and letting inspiring people to do the same, to relax and to have fun, really, like to learn to play, in fact. So I did this with musical instruments, and I did this with painting and with sculpture and all this. So I learned, like a whole bunch of people learn to play on a didgeridoo, for instance. Well, that's a lot of fun if you do it with 15 persons at the same time, because it's like you're putting your mouth on a big like pipe or something, and it makes an incredible farty kind of noise. So that was great great healing for the people that were receiving this. So anyway, so that was one of the examples of this is going to be given to you to do it in a certain way, and that's not different for me. And at the same time, I felt the connection with the ones that are doing the same thing. It was, for instance, when I walked into the Museum of Modern Art in New York, somebody gave me a ticket to enter in, just like out of nowhere. Somebody gave me a ticket so I could go in. And then actually I was completely overwhelmed, because what I felt was like, I felt all the artists that are connected to this idea of art, like the way that you move through life is different. And because it's like you don't behave as a normal human being, so to speak, but you do it differently, and you go through a lot of stuff. So the paintings that you make, or the sculptures, or the photos that you make, are just one little snapshot of this complete internalized life that you're living as an artist. And yeah, it's different. It's just different. So I'm not saying necessarily that it's harder, but it's really different. So, and it's like you cannot turn it off either. You cannot say like, okay, I'm not going to make art anymore, because you know that you're fooling yourself. So this is a bit like the drive of the artist that is just in you. So now, leaving art completely behind for some time, it appeared that way. Suddenly it came back to me in the things that I did, because I discovered like, oh, actually I'm making a lot of illustrations right now. Oh, I'm making videos with all kinds of graphical, you know what. So, and then it is like, before you know it, you expand in what you're doing. So you're making music, you're making, beautiful Photoshop and Illustrator compositions, or InDesign compositions with incredible programs. So one thing leads to another, and then something happened again to me, like that is maybe, I don't know how long ago, because I don't keep track of time. But one thing that really happened to me is that I got in touch with something. I don't think I shared it with any one of you. So I came in touch with the Urantia book, and that's a book also downloaded from, say, from out of time into this place. Urantia is then Earth. And it is full of papers, like all pamphlets, papers. So this paper 44 was the one that really hit me between the eyes, which was the Celestial Artisans. So there, I really went into that, and I will share the paper with you if you're in class. I will share the paper with you, because something is really happening when you read that, and when you are sensitive as an artist, you resonate with it. At least I did, big time. Like for a couple of years, I was just completely in awe, and I could not come up with any mechanical activity to create art or music. So because of the fact what was presented there, like you, all of us have a memory, have an idea of celestial music that is so incredibly, overwhelmingly beautiful that you literally disappear into it, or that you are in awe. Just like, it's like pure light, it's pure love that comes down. You have a reference of that, and you say like, yeah, when I go to a concert, I really feel great about what I'm hearing, and I can be so touched by it. And this is certainly true. But in this paper that I'm going to share with you, it is like, imagine that there's music connected to colors and movement that is without discontinuity, like with no mechanical device made, but it's a pure transition. Like these are pure movements of energy and sound and all that. And the way that I describe it is not as beautiful as it is written in that paper. But what it inspired me to was, like, I saw it in front of me. Movement, color, vibration, like sound. So perfectly together that it literally is like spiritual thought. That it is that. You know, that there's you enter into a place where that it becomes one. And so that was like after that the piano sounded completely different. Or if I listen to a violin, it's like, yeah, it's beautiful. Even the most beautiful violin played on a very professional way is still mechanical, even though it gets very close to pure vibration. So imagine that there is music, and actually you have a reference in it. At least I'm aware of that's in us. Like you have a reference of the purity of music, beauty and fulfillment of spiritual energy, of spiritual thought that is so complete and whole that like you can just be in awe, in fact, when you undergo this experience. So that is to me like the main inspiration to use digital art, or to use any kind of art that I'm say using to express something. Or I can do the opposite, like I can really choose some real mechanical, since I'm here on in having an say earthly experience, it can be really nice to also have a mechanical process going on. It's not say, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use it. That's what I'm saying. But it is the inspiration of this pure art, this pure falling all into one place art that is my inspiration. Is in fact like I can listen to that when I'm watching art, or when I can, because I have that reference and I share this with you. So that's one thing. I love to share that with you. So then I have a couple of experiences with art, and see, my background is one of Van Gogh's paintings. So when I was in Amsterdam in the Van Gogh Museum after 45 years of my life, like I've been in Holland for 40 years and I never went to the Van Gogh Museum, but I lived in the States. I come to Holland, and what do? I go to a Van Gogh Museum. So I go to this Van Gogh Museum, and there is one painting, and these are lilies. It's not this one, but it's another one. So you see these lilies, like beautiful, beautiful painting. But actually when I come closer, I literally smell that the paint is wet, like it was just painted. And Van Gogh must have just left. This painting is freshly painted. I could touch it and it would definitely give me paint on my finger. This is how I experienced one of his paintings, and that's just like, that was so great. So this is one thing I'd love to share, because it's like everything has to do with how you are present with what you do and what you see. You can see the whole universe in a beautiful flower if you want to. The same can happen with paintings too. So the other day I was in Vienna watching the Klimt Museum, and suddenly I see this kiss, and I like, oh my God, that was totally overwhelming. I did not expect it at all, because it's like it's printed on every kind of thing. But here you see it live, and actually I was in tears. It was so overwhelmingly beautiful and so nicely made. So these experiences are really beautiful to undergo, and you probably have a lot of them too, and I love to hear that too. So the inspiration in this class that we do in this couple of weeks, like 3 times in May and 3 times in June, is a development of say photography, where we start with actually you get an assignment to try to say use one part, say the photo that you chose as like your most artistic thing. You're going to use that as the basis for the continuation of, for instance, poetry or movement or voice, or who knows what we're going to do, dance, maybe even making a painting out of it. So you can use all that as your direct inspiration from something that really touches you as something that you really love, as beauty. So I think I said quite a bit, and I hope you get a feel for what I'm trying to convey here. So on the website Move to This, you can follow our process a little bit, and on Instagram there's also moved _to _this. That's our new account where you can see like the contributions of the participants if they want to share it. So we use that as just like here we are, this is what we do, and we love to expose this just to share our joy of creating, loving, and doing this with a common purpose. And not to become like great artists or to set ourselves into a certain thing in the world as being great or anything. We don't have to do that. So no, this is just the fun of playing and the joy of discovering, and that we share. And so thank you for putting up with me and listening to this. And we're going to continue in the class with the next step of introducing ourselves. So thank you for this.